Hi, this is Chris at Control Bionics. I just want to make a quick video here about adding grid sets or updating your grid sets that you already have on your Grid 3 program and give you a few different ways that you can go about doing that. So one way that we can do this is through a grid set file, which is a local file on your system or one that you've downloaded that you can pull directly into Grid 3. The second way is to pull from a list of already added applications or grid sets in the Grid 3 program that are available to be updated or may have changed. The other option is to search online grid sets, which are previously added grid sets either by Smartbox or other users that they've sent up to be available through the online grids option. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this, and we're going to go through the adding of a grid set file. So I'm going to actually go to my desktop here, and you can see I've got a grid set file for yes and no, and I'm just going to double click that. And you can see here, it's added the yes and no, and it's just put it on this profile here. Now the profile does need to be open before you open that grid set file, or it will not know where to put it. So opening the grid set after we've logged into the user for Grid 3. Now another way that we can do this, and the first thing I'm going to do here before we re-add that file, since we've already got the yes and no, is I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to hit Arrange Grid Sets, and I'm just going to hit this X. And that's going to let me press yes here, remove that grid set that we just added. I'm going to go back to the top and then do finish arranging. And that's just going to be so that we can pull it in through a different method. Otherwise, it would make a copy of itself and we might have more than one of that same grid set. So I'm going to go to Add Grid Sets this time. And it's going to start me on Add Grid Set. But what I'm going to do is go down to Grid Set File. And you can see I've already got an option here from where I've added it previously, but we're going to act like we haven't done that before. I'm going to go into Browse. And then on the desktop here, so I've already got desktop selected. I'm going to select yes and no. Tell it to open. As you can see here, it's got it added in the same way as it did before whenever we just double clicked it from the desktop. So they'll work the same way for that file. You just have to have a file to pull in and make sure that you're logged into your Grid 3 profile before doing so. So the next thing we're going to do here is, let's say that we want to update our YouTube application inside of Grid 3. So we're going to go back up to the top, and we're going to go to Add Grid Sets again. And we're going to go back up to Add Grid Set. Now this is probably one of the best ways to update a grid set that you've already got on the system that is provided by Smartbox. So YouTube is one of the accessible apps. So I'm going to go into accessible apps here. And I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom. And YouTube 2019 is their newest version here, so I'm going to select that and press Next. You can see that's from Smartbox and one of their accessible apps. That's how we knew where that was. I'm going to press Add. All right, you can see it downloading, and it'll say that it's added. Now you can open directly into it, but I'm going to press Close. That way I can just go right back to my Grid Explorer and see that we've got the YouTube 2019 app right here and available for us. So if I open it, you can see that it pulls you straight into that new YouTube 2019. I'm going to go back to the Grid Explorer real fast. Go back to the page we were on. And then I'm going to show you the last way here. Go back to the top, Add Grid Set. And we're still underneath of this Add Grid Set here in the top left. I'm going to go down to the bottom and select Online Grids. And this is going to be where, again, you can search for grid sets that are both created by users, as well as the ones that we had just a moment ago where we added the YouTube 2019. Those options from Smartbox will be here as well. So if you're not sure where they're at in those categories, you can always come here to just search for it directly. So I'm going to go to this magnifying glass up in the top here. And I'm actually going to search for Microsoft. Go and hit that magnifying glass now again. It'll start searching. Okay, you see a couple of options pulled up, but I'm just going to select the Microsoft here in the middle. Hit Next. You can see where this was created by somebody in Smartbox, and it looks like it's combined with computer control. So I'm going to go ahead and just add that. Okay, looks like it's added in. I'm going to press Close again. Okay, and you can see where we've got it added on to the same placement, just in that next open slot inside of our Grid Explorer. Now, once you've got these on here, you may want to move where they're at. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the top and go back to the Arrange Grid Sets where we were before. And instead of hitting the X, What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this YouTube 2019, and then I'm just going to take it all the way up into the accessible apps here. There we go. The accessible apps, and you can see it made it a little bit smaller, so whenever I let go, it's going to drop it into that accessible apps area. If I click on it now, you'll see it's listed down the bottom as one of the options. So that's just good for sorting, or if you want to change where it's at, or if you just want to change the order. So if I want to take this yes and no and put it in the front of the text talker, I can just put it up here, drop it, and then we'll put it there. Whenever you're done doing your arrangement, just go back to the top, hit finish arranging, and then that will submit that in and save it. So it'll be like that the next time you open your Grid 3 profile. Now, the different ways we went through for this, again, is going through a grid set file, as well as going through the predetermined grid sets for Grid 3. The best way to get the updated files for Grid 3 is going to be going through the method that we went through second, and going through add grid sets, and then going through these different sections that we have up here in the top. Now, what this is going to make sure is that you're getting the grid sets that are already checked and approved for Grid 3 by Smartbox. If you do need to search them, you're not sure which category they're in, instead of searching through each individual one, you can go through the online grid sets here in the bottom, and that will let you search for those individual grid sets, and then you can just check for, so let's say if we went to online grid sets and then just did YouTube again, you'll see we still have the YouTube 2019, and it does have the Smartbox accessible app. So it's the same one that's in that listing, but you may not know where to look for it, and this will help you search for it this way. Okay, but that will be the 3 different ways of getting grid sets either added or updated on the system, as well as removing and rearranging them. So if there are anything that you need to update on the system, or if there's anything that you need to change, you can go through these methods. If you ever have any issue with this, you can always feel free to give us a contact at Control Bionics, and we can always assist you from there.